Everyone's calling PulseChain a scam right now. But what if this brutal shakeout isn't the end? What if it's the setup before the next major pump? Hey, this is Colin. I help purpose-driven beginners cut through all the noise and all the hype and learn how to build real wealth in crypto using macro strategies and a conviction-based portfolio. I'm not here telling you that this is exactly what is happening, and I'm not giving you any guarantees. This definitely isn't any financial advice either. This is crypto. Make sure that you do your own investigations, your own research, and come up with your own conclusions and your own speculations, really, when it comes down to it. But something's been bouncing around in my head here for a little while, and I wanted to get it out there and just share my thoughts and opinions and speculations in what's actually happening here in the market. And really, when it comes to PulseChain, Richard Hart, this ecosystem, what's been going on, I think it's worth talking about, because what we've seen and what we've been seeing or witnessing, seeing going on the PulseChain ecosystem, in PulseChain, in the community, what's going on just seems a little bit strange. I mean, we're seeing extreme volatility, extreme price drops, extreme, the bounce and then the crash, and it's just going up and down. It's a lot of volatility, but there's probably some. I mean, the reason for that is also liquidity. But let's get into this here. There's FUD. There's FUD everywhere. People are selling. They're selling out of frustration. And the liquidity and the core tokens, it's being drained. It's being drained out of the core tokens quietly across all of RH, Richard Hart's core tokens. PLS, PLSX, HEX, Inc., the core. What's going on? Well, today, I wanted to share, like I said, this is all speculation, guys, right? But I wanted to share my speculative theory on what's been going on. It's a thesis, not financial advice. This is not certainty. Like I said, nothing's guaranteed, right? It's just something that's been bouncing around in my head here for a little while. Just trying to connect the dots on a few things. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from Richard Hart. I've learned a lot over the past few years, watching his streams, listening to the things that he's said, read a lot of his tweets. I've been learning a lot of, what's been going on. And so it's just, putting a few things together and just trying to figure a few things out here. In fact, I would be, interested to know what your thoughts are. If you post them down below in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on what I'm bringing up here and what I'm thinking about, how I'm able to put this together here. What are you thinking? I mean, some of the things that I've learned a lot about the liquidity, how liquidity works. As he's mentioned a lot of things about this. I've listened to what he said about how he's designed HEX, how AMMs actually work, and then what I'm seeing on chain as well. So you can agree, you can disagree, and you can totally ignore it. You can ignore everything that I'm saying. I know there are three camps out there. You're going to agree, you're going to disagree, you're just going to ignore it, you're going to fight back with it. Whatever the case is, whatever it is that you choose to do, it's what you choose to do. Hey, leave your comments, leave your feedback. I'm interested to hear what you've got to say. One of the most important things that I have learned, though, and I will share this, and I'd suggest that you go by this, and that is, whatever you do, it's probably best not to bet against the guy. Don't bet against him. All right. And don't bet against what he's doing and call him a complete failure. All right. I know there are people out there. I know you're out there and you're calling him a scammer. He's a failure. The chain is a failure. The chain failed. All these tokens, everything failed. They're completely rubbish and it's just done, right? You can think that. And you know what? Here's the thing. I know people are out there. I don't know why, okay? There's going to be people out there and they're going to be saying that. They're going to be calling FUD and they're going to be saying all this stuff. Meanwhile, they're holding bags because secretly, deep down, they know that they don't want to bet against Richard Hart, but they're trying to voice their frustrations out there and they're doing that. Now, I think that's probably like, why would you do a thing like that? Because you're fudding your own bags, right? You're like, well, I've got this in case it does going to go up and do its thing and make 100x or something. I'm going to hold on to this, but in the meantime, the guy's a scammer. This ain't going to work. This chain's a failure. This is what's going wrong. This is what should be done. Why would you do that? I know because I know some of them out there have already made, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the chain, done very well, right? And, there are some that are doing that. And now all of a sudden they've got these campaigns out there, right? It's like they're running a campaign against Richard Hart on how, so much of a failure he is. So maybe it doesn't matter to him that, he could fud the rest of his bags or something like that. But still, why do you got to have that attitude that way? Right? But betting against Richard Hart, I think, is a really bad move because, well, I learned my lesson myself in the past. Falling for FUD really is what I've done. And, I learned my lesson with that, and I had to learn the hard way. And so I'm sharing this with you now that that's not the best thing to do. But let's get it started. Let's get into this. Let's start with the shakeout that nobody believes is actually happening. Here's the obvious. All of Richard Hart's core tokens have absolutely nuked in price. PLS is down, PLSX is down, both hexes are down, ink is down. People are angry, people are emotional, and people are screaming, rug, scam, dead chain. And I get it. It hurts. But here's the thing. Liquidity across the entire ecosystem has been pulled low. It's extremely low. Not just one token. All of them. PLS has about $5 million in liquidity. PLSX has about $5 million in liquidity. Actually, these are probably a little bit less now. HEX has like 1.7 or 1.5 maybe now in liquidity. Ink, it's even lower. These all used to be way higher with liquidity. So the natural question is, why? Why is liquidity dropping across the whole entire ecosystem and pretty much all at the same time? Is this chaos or is this all by design? Again, I'm not saying that I know. Like I said, I'm speculating here, but I've had these questions go through my mind, and I've, been speculating and thinking, is this all by design? Is there something going on here? Now, I'm not saying that Richard Hart is behind it, and I'm not saying that he's not, right? And I'm not saying that this is guaranteed to play out either. But what I am saying is it looks pretty darn intentional. And here's why. Richard Hart taught us this himself. Market cap is vanity and liquidity is reality. If you go back and you listen to Richard Hart's old streams, you'll learn this. You'll find this. He talks about thin liquidity, deep liquidity, why low liquidity pumps harder, how AMMs work, and why market cap is a useless number, how you could have massive price moves with little liquidity pools. Remember, Richard Hart said this himself. HEX was designed to do a 10,000x. Let me highlight that again for you, all right? Imagine these big words. Designed. Richard Hart said it himself that HEX was designed to do a 10,000x. And guess what? It did it, didn't it? HEX pumped the most. It pumped the hardest. When there was little liquidity, tiny pool of liquidity, and it pumped. It did that 10,000x. It's just math. When liquidity is small, price dumps hard, and price pumps even harder. Weak hands get flushed, and strong hands accumulate, and the stage is set for extreme volatility. So when I see that liquidity is this low on PulseChain across multiple tokens, all at the same time, after massive price collapse, after months of capitulation, after the community emotionally breaks, it makes me wonder, is this the same playbook being used over again? Let's talk about the bonded liquidity effect that nobody's talking about. Here's where this gets really crazy. PulseChain tokens, they're not independent. They're all bonded through liquidity pairs. PLS is bonded to PLSX. PLS is bonded to HEX. HEX is bonded to PHEX. And ink It's bonded to PLS and PLSX. This means when one token pumps, the rest must reprice. This is not emotion, not community hype, not influencer drama. It's mathematical. The AMM does not care how you feel. It just moves liquidity between sides. So if PLS suddenly gets a wave of buyers, PLS adjusts, HEX adjusts, PHEX adjusts, and INK adjusts. You get it? Even if nobody buys those tokens. This is what I mean by an ecosystem pump. Not just one token mooning, but all of them repricing off of the surge. So how much money would be needed to see a 10x or a 100x with PulseChain, with this ecosystem? This is where most people get shocked. Even myself, they tell you I have to keep going through this and figuring this out because, like, no way. Because when they see PLS at a $300 million market cap, they think, oh, bro, that needs millions or billions to move. People say it all the time. That market cap is way too big. It's way too huge. It ain't going to move. You're not going to see that 100x. You're not going to see that type of a gain in that ecosystem with that size of a market cap? Oh, wrong. Market cap is irrelevant here. What matters is the liquidity. Here's the actual math. HEX or PHEX, 1.7, we're going to use these numbers here, $1.7 million. Pair side, $850,000. For this to 100x, it's going to require, get this, 7 to 10 $1 million in net buys. If I have this correct. Hey, drop your comments. Let me know. Is this all wrong? Have I got it wrong? Let me know. But yes, what I said was 7 to 10 $1 million in net buys for that because of what? Not market cap, but because of liquidity. And PLSX liquidity of approximately 5 million, 5.5, something like that, $1 million. And the pair side, approximately 2.7 million dollars. So 100x, this is going to require about 25 to 30 $1 million in net buys. And that's for both of them, not each, but for both. To do that, 100x. And what's the biggest twist? Because they're all bonded, a $30 million inflow to PLS alone could drag PLSX and HEX up 50 to 100x. Now remember, not financial advice, okay? And this is not financial advice. This is a little bit of speculation. Well, with the math, of course, right? But what I'm saying is, this is not guaranteed. This is not guaranteed to happen. There's no guarantee that somebody's coming in to put $30 million in. It's not guaranteed that we're going to have $30 million worth of net buys and people coming in to PulseChain to even do this. No guarantees at all. I'm just sharing with you how the AMM works. And it raises the question, is liquidity being lowered to make it easier, to make it possible so that this does happen? I don't know. I'm not sure. I just don't know. I mean, I'm just revealing, I'm just showing what's out there. These are the facts. The facts are, this is what the liquidity is. The facts are, this is what the math is. The facts are, this is how liquidity works with the AMM. This is the facts, is the founder, the creator, the founder of this chain and this ecosystem does have a pretty big ego. He does like those hockey stick type of charts. He does like to keep on mentioning how he's designed things to do a certain thing. The mechanics, they are undeniable. So could this all be a setup? Again, speculation, but here's what we do know. Ultra low liquidity across all tokens after a massive emotional capitulation within the community, after a long downtrend, after weak hands get shaken out. Richard Hart launching a new sacrifice, PROVEX, on-chain evidence of large wallets accumulating with the ecosystem bonded and structurally ready for a massive upside. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm not saying that Richard Hart's planning some massive pump to the upside. I'm not telling you what's happening or what's going to happen. Nobody can. What I am saying, this structure looks unbelievably similar to the structure with HEX before HEX did the 10,000X, before it took off like that. Low liquidity, high supply, angry community, everyone's saying it's dead, no hope, no hype, and then a violent, unexpected, ecosystem-wide melt-up. Could that happen again? It's not impossible. The math actually supports it. And like I said, I personally don't bet against the guy. And Richard Hart has hinted at a lot of things through his tweets, a lot of interesting, uh, hidden message type of things that, we've got a few people in the community that are decoding all this stuff. I don't bother. I'm not out there. I'm not spending all my time decoding all that stuff myself. Right. But it's just interesting when you look at, some of the things that people have decoded, and some things you don't even need to decode. I mean, they're so simple, right? I mean, Hex did a 10,000X with massive gas fees and congestion on Ethereum. Could it do it again with low fees and low liquidity? Just saying. But that's my thesis. That's just some of my thoughts and things that have been bouncing around in my head. I just wanted to share that because it's interesting and it's worth having a position. If you got your position, you got your position. If you sold your position and you ran away, hey, that's okay. You can come back. You can come back now, or you can come back and buy the price you're forced and that you gotta buy at. My thesis, not a prediction, not advice, not certainty, just what I'm seeing. So it's something worth thinking about. What do you think? What are your thoughts? What do you see that's happening? Comment, post down below. And if you found any of this helpful, if it encourages, if it gives you some hope or something, I don't know. But if hey, let me know what you think, what your thoughts are. If you enjoyed the content, smash the like button. Got some more videos probably right about here that I believe you're going to find of value as well. So make sure you head on over there, check these videos out. I'll be there. And yeah, see you later.